Thank you for supporting our channel. Thank you for supporting Wizan. Please like, subscribe, comment, and hit the notification bell for any future videos.
Oh, don't give me the...
No,
my back hurt, so I didn't become a pro.
No, it was my mum. My mum and dad were going to divorce. She wasn't interested, so I was always involved with boxing.
But they didn't have a roly-poly weight, did they? There was always... It's a thingy.
That's why I can't skateboard.
Welcome. Today's podcast, we don't know what we're going to talk about today, but in general, the subject that Jamie picked up on was, let's talk about roots, the difference between roots as cab drivers and the roots as knowledge students. Yeah. We've got Jamie Parker today and Danny the Mac, both cab drivers. Yeah. Jamie, you've been out about a year now.
Yeah.
And Dan, you're 5 years coming on, a little bit of a veteran now.
Coming up to 6.
Yes. So in general, we're just going to chitty chat and we can carry on with a little bit of boxing theme and move into this idea of roots between cab drivers and wherever. If we go dry, it doesn't matter. We just stop, cut it. So
that's what she said.
That's what he said.
Sorry.
Jamie, welcome and thanks for coming in. I know you've been keen to come in. Just tell us, Jamie, a little bit about your journey on the knowledge to get where you're going.
Yeah, so I've been out about 18 months, just under. I started on and off. I started about 2013, just after the Olympics. I had a crack at it. My dad's a cabbie, so it was almost in the bloodline to sort of. I didn't know much about London. I suppose through osmosis, I was looking at, I used to go up with my dad to pick up certain points of London with him. Enjoyed it, but yeah, applied onto it in 2015 officially after having a crack at the 320 runs and just realised, wow. This is more than a bit off more than I could chew. Doing it in a car primarily.
Hard in a car.
Yeah, I didn't get access to a bike at that point.
Did you get a bike after then?
I had to go at a bike when I sort of had to go the second time around 2017, and it ended up blowing up when I was on the A2 heading towards Rochester.
Oh, you were doing too many miles in and out. Was it a 125?
A little 125. Wouldn't put a hat off a sausage. No. Absolutely shocking. So I used to get on the A2, and I remember one day coming home, I'd been over in the arse end of Harlesden pointing, and I was on the A2, it just blew up. I had to get it over to the hard shoulder. So that was that. Picked myself up a little smart car, I think that was like the done thing. And then really went for it in 2016 and then got out last year. So it took me the thick end of 5-6 years to get through it.
Wow. Well, congratulations, well done.
Yeah,
persevering and doing it, like you say. The bike from you, one piece of advice obviously would be for anybody in that sort of distance, 125 doesn't make it, does it?
No, it doesn't cut it at all.
So I know a lot of guys done it on bigger bikes from those sort of areas. It does work. I once drove my 125 to Deal and back again.
Wasn't it Dover?
Yeah.
Wow.
And my mum and dad were down there camping, and I've popped over. I've got no car, so I thought I'd jump on the scooter and I'll drive down there. Oh, what a regret!
Deal.
What a regret! Yeah, I done it. I made it, but on the way back, because once you're there. So you make it there, and it's hard, and then realise, well, there's no turning back now. You've got to come back anyway. And it was really awful. I was frozen through, and then you forget to look at your fuel gauge. You don't realise that you're doing more fuel than normal, and suddenly you're in the middle of nowhere, and you realise, I've got nothing left. Should have looked at that ages ago. Yeah. Anyway, the car, if you could have done it on a bike, you think that, because my recommendation would always be a bike.
Yeah, it didn't take long to realise how hard it was pulling up on double reds and bits and bobs like that. I used to go out early hours in the morning as well. I remember, I'll never forget, I was on Brick Lane. I was into the second blue book. I got it off you guys at Wizan. And I was in Brick Lane 4 in the morning, and I was looking for a couple of points off of Cheshire Street. Is it Cheshire Street? The Duke of Uke, the ukulele shop. Yeah. And this knock on the window, and it was a prostitute. She thought I was curb calling. And that's
probably was.
Yeah. There you go. Oh, I'm not going to let that one out.
Sorry.
And I remember just, getting out of there, and I thought, I need to change my method of attack here. So that's when I looked into the bike and went back to the car. So
he was a smart car guy as well.
At the end.
Ah, there you go.
At the end.
I think I had 4 bikes nicked, so I give up.
Did you?
Yeah. But I was on the bike until the last, I was on it 100 years, but till the last bit.
Yeah, what one did you have? Because I had a 2005, it was just like, belonged in a museum, my one.
No, I think, I don't know, it wasn't brand new, but it was all right. I went and got it from the Mercedes somewhere in Essex, because I just had enough of my bikes getting nicked. My last bike got nicked at the gym, at the Peacock. I just had enough. And then by that time, I'd done thousands of points, and I just knew the way to get what I wanted. And I'd go out late at night in the car to finish, because I went pointing until the end. I always did it. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend starting in a car unless you have to.
Well, if you want to do the optimum method, if you want to get through it as quickly as possible, then the bike is going to be the winner.
Yeah.
But there are downsides. But the upside is that it's the fastest way to get around, to stop, to see stuff, to get back, and you're not stuck in traffic.
No,
Everything.
You can whiz about and it's effective. But yeah, you've got to do what you got to do to get the job done. But I would get the bike if I...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people now, from what I'm hearing, word on the street, is that they're doing the winter months in a car, in their wife's missus' car, and then they're doing the summer months on the bike. So they're sort of fair weather riders, if you're
Lightweights.
Yeah,
lightweights.
exactly.
Yeah.
My little story on that one is I was living down in Worcester Park when I was doing the knowledge. I'm born and bred Mile End. This is my local area, but my brother was here, and I was living with friends in Worcester Park, and I was pointing Tottenham Lane, and I'd let it go to about 2 or 3 in the morning, and it started to snow on my Cub 90, and you realise that I've got to get to Worcester Park, and I remember getting home crying, thinking this is just, it's in you, the cold is in you, and it's just fully in your body now, and you think you might die. But yeah, awful. But
I had that Crystal Palace to Crouch Hill. It was a Saturday. I had the wetsuit and everything. It was completely drenched.
yeah,
And you're just thinking, I've got to get back. But with the feeling when you get back and you've done it is great. I always liked, in a weird way, suffering a bit.
yeah, we'll do. Yeah.
Because when you're sitting in a waiting room and you know you've done everything you could do, that's enough. You think there's no reason to be nervous now. I've done everything I can do.
That's it. And I think that was the same thing for me. When I've done a little bit of both, I've done a bit of bike and car. I feel like I'm a fair weather knowledge student here, but at the same time, we're all putting in, we're all digging deep. We're all going for
as
it.
long as you do it and you get the work done, and you follow the correct procedure, it don't matter how you do it.
It doesn't matter as long as you're doing the essence of what it is. We spoke about this, me and Jamie, earlier. There is lots of things that people are doing that they don't realise are not really contributing to their progress. So, for example, you said something about, I knew thousands of points. One of the mistakes a lot of people make
There's a reason why, by the way.
Okay, but one of the mistakes they make is that they don't realise that they've got, let's say I've got 3,000 points under my belt. They don't realise that they're bad at retorting the answer to 600 of them. So if you ask me it, that I would drop it. But even though it's part of my 3,000, I haven't got the answer to reflex with it.
That's true.
And then they go out and they're pointing another 150, and they don't realise that if you stopped for a second, took the 600 you're weak on and revised them and got the answers, your repertoire's increased by 600 by going nowhere. So you could be better at what you've already done. So you see a lot of people who are kind of rubbish at what they've done and keep pushing forward, and you're just rubbish at more stuff when you should be consolidating very often, and you could get through the knowledge with 3,000 points. If you was good at that 3,000 percentage wise, you're probably going to get through. You can keep increasing.
I enjoyed going out though.
Oh, I love doing it. Yeah,
But I remember when you taught me about pinning up. Do people still do that?
No, because what they don't understand is I made the new app, the Radius app, that is pinned up for you.
They got it easy, man.
They have got it easy.
Did you pin up?
I did, yeah.
I used to cut them out, roll them up with a pin. But I had my map out the old Wizan, do you remember?
Yeah.
I had my own thing, and I used to look at it and unpin lines, and that helped me a lot.
The people were lazy, didn't realise that when you wrote the point on a slip of paper, you looked at, you investigated its road, which you might not have known where that road was. So you're looking on the map to find it. Then you find it on the map and you put the pin in. Most of what you needed information-wise was already learned before you've even popped out to visit it. So then you unpin it to visit it, and it's done. You kind of did the process to absorb the points.
Yeah, because I used the app to call my blue book and revise points. I revise the points every day from what I remember, call the blue book, but I never come away from the actual, I loved the paper map and the pins. That worked.
That's old school, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is old school, yeah.
That carries weight. That's still, people still do that. My dad done it that way, I believe.
It was the only way to do it properly, because the other method was, which is what I think Knowledge Point encouraged people to do, was postcodes. So with the postcode, they didn't understand that. Let's say we're going to go to Harlesden. We're going to go to Harlesden and not see anything on our way. We get to Harlesden, and the points in Harlesden, they're up and down. So we still don't know which one to go first, second, or third. So you're still running around thinking, what was the best order to do these in? And yet when you pinned them, it just saved you so much road time and gained the education. But people very often wanted this quick fix. Just get out, take the postcode, go and visit. It didn't work as anywhere near as well.
I used to hate going out to Harlesden.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Do you go there now?
No, I don't. I mean, like I was saying to you earlier, then I do head up that way now because I'm on the M1. I'm in Bedfordshire, so I'm going through Harlesden a little bit more than I'd like.
Yeah.
I'm getting jobs out there, whether it's an app job or if it's off the street. But as soon as I smell the M1, I'm going home.
Lazy.
11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Harlesden, though, still gets me, still confuses me. Certain parts of it still a little bit shady, but we're not out there enough.
No, I count Harlesden as being the roughest area in London. It's the area that I disliked the most in terms of the surrounding people.
Bleak.
Yeah,
Horrible.
I think I saw quite a bit of crime when I was there on the bike. So whenever you was up there, you had to be careful when you went through a few of the streets to make clever little routes. Stay on the main roads up there and don't go too intricate. But it's funny, they're on the boundaries of some nice areas as well, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right. There's pockets. I've got a Queen's Park the other day, and is it Mortimer Harvest and whatnot?
Yeah.
You know, like you say, you stay on the oranges and lemons. up there
Tiverton,
just
is it?
Tiverton, that's
Yeah.
right. Oakhampton, because my
6
mum's
more months, you ain't going to know none of that.
Yeah, exactly.
He's throwing all
It's
these-
you.
you
You've
know
done
what I
too
mean?
much over the years. You've been too many punches on the head in the ring.
I don't know nothing anymore.
Yeah.
But generally, it's like I have to throw bread out my window on the way back. It's like, what way did I come out into Harlesden? I
Yeah.
dead ride back. What am I doing here? Yeah. But Oakhampton, funny you said that, Oakhampton, Tiverton. My mum and dad live down in Devon, and they live in Oakhampton. And it's only the other day I realised they're all
Oh,
parishes
yes.
in Devon.
They are. Yeah.
Little things. That I
Once you
tell
said,
what,
I don't know Oakhampton was, but I just suddenly realised that Tiverton was. So
there's and Cheriton. I don't know if you.
I know Cheriton, but I don't know that standing to
That's a little sequence of roads off of Queen's Park.
Yes.
And it's just like every day's a school day in the cab, you know. It's like, bloody hell. And I rung me dad and I said, do you use Oakhampton Road? And he does. He said, I've never, ever. 25 years he's been out and he's never noticed it. Unbelievable. But yeah, it's Harlesden is what it is. When you go out there, you just have to make do with what you've got. But
you know that very, very few fairs go to Harlesden. I don't know. I think.
Yeah, you don't.
I don't think I might have done one.
oh right,
I don't think I've had one.
have you not? I've been out there about 5-6 times.
So talking about, I think we done this the other day. Have you had any fairs where you've gone to the wrong place because they can't pronounce it properly?
Yeah.
What's yours then?
So I've had a couple. I had the classic Tanner Street, and it was Cannon Street. So that got me. Just which way we going, driver? And I thought, you did say Cannon Street. She said no, Tanner Street. I said, well, I'm not too far out because London Bridge, and we can eradicate that. I can rectify that mistake. I've had a few, and I had a guy. The accent wasn't there for me. I couldn't pick it up, and you got the intercom going on.
Yeah.
And this road, I couldn't.
Where
even
was
think. He wanted New Kings Road, but he sounded like he said New Kent Road.
All right.
I'm crossing the river and blah blah blah.
Not bad.
Yeah, so you do get them. You do get them. You just
They
want
are
to make
good.
sure you listen before you set off.
You had any, Dad?
I don't think so.
No.
No. I'm trying to think of one. I don't think so.
I've had a few, but I've just remembered another one that I had. So I'm going south over London Bridge, and he wants Southwark Street. So, okay. So it's obvious which Southwark Street. So we go Southwark Street. I go over the bridge. I turn right Southwark Street. I said, where do you want? He went, Southwark Street. I said, yeah, we're in Southwark Street. What is it, number? Or what? He said, this ain't Southwark Street. I said, oh, where? I'm confused then. Where do you want? I want Southwark Street, near Trafalgar Square. Suffolk.
Oh.
Yeah, got you.
It's like, oh, dear. So the confusion comes when we know something very, very nearby. And I think I had a friend say to once, he was in Putney and he got Oxford Street. So
Oxford Road.
he goes to Oxford Road and the driver's
I knew that one.
thing.
Disraeli Road.
So yeah,
Good
you
man.
can confuse some simple ones because you're. Oh, I had one mispronunciation with a guy, which was a big argument. We was in Crouch End Broadway, and he wants Wolseley Lane. There's a Wolseley right on it, right? And I said, Wolseley Lane. I said, okay, I know I'm on it. I know. He said, every cab driver knows Wolseley Lane. Every cab driver's gone bananas. I said, well, where is it? Go up here, go up here. Start driving. We turn right. He said, turn right here. And set me down here. I said, is that it? And he said, yeah, Wolseley Lane. I said, this is Hornsey Lane. Hornsey Lane, not Wolseley Lane. If you didn't have a speech impediment, I'd understand that you meant Hornsey Lane. Yes, every cab driver does know Hornsey Lane.
Yeah.
But Wolseley Lane, I don't know.
Easy mistaker to make her. I mean, I've heard stories coming down through the knowledge and taxi drivers. That there was one that really made me giggle, and it was an American guy went up to a cabin and said, well, he ended up in Tutankhamun is the long and short of it. He ended up in Tutankhamun, and he actually said to the driver in his American accent, Tutankhamun exhibition, which was actually at the
Victoria and Albert, maybe?
no, it was at the British Museum at the time.
Okay.
So he's ended up in Tutankhamun, but he actually asked for the Tutankhamun exhibition. Or the other one, the guy ended up in Croydon, and he actually asked for the John Bell and Croydon on Wigmore Street.
From where?
wherever, I don't know, but he ended up in Croydon.
Oh God.
It's just, you do hear some absolute corkers.
Yeah, well, you can't make them up. No,
But
it's
now
just a job.
I just make sure that I've
Yeah.
heard them right, and then I'll set off, and then
I tell you what, I've had a lot, and it drives me mad. And it's usually Americans. Can I get the corner of Blackfriars and Nicholson? How long we been in Manhattan for?
Yeah.
De Beauvoir Village. Where's that?
Village.
I just asked for a postcode in the end because they'd start throwing them at you, and you just think,
Well, that brings us on to the fact about people are starting to ask postcodes, aren't they? They're a lot more postcode orientated
yeah, I think
because of sat nav and
yeah,
apps.
they don't know. Probably we know what we do know.
Yeah, well, you asked me, I wouldn't have a clue. I mean, I
I think he used to do the postcodes, didn't he, Harvey?
asked the postcode. Yeah?
Postcode lottery.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Just ask the postcodes?
Yeah,
I wouldn't have a
it was.
clue.
I think it was for one question. It wasn't a whole appearance. He would ask you. He'd fire like I think 6 at you or something, or maybe more.
What's of the same point or of postcodes?
No, he would say to you,
Where are they?
yeah. So he would say like
NW8,
there somewhere.
St John's Wood,
Yeah, SE17.
Oh, like Camberwell.
Woolworth.
Yeah,
Ah, right.
that's SE5 though.
Is it?
SE17 Wolf Police Station ran that way.
How are you so good at the postcodes then?
Told you.
There's only one postcode. If I hit him with another one, he wouldn't have a clue.
15 years as a points collector.
N8.
Hornsey.
Mm-hmm.
Bam.
Bam.
I'm so happy I got that.
You killed it. You killed it. Oh,
Yeah.
dear.
Wow.
That's one for the CV. That.
Yeah, one for you then, Jamie. NW2.
NW2. Kensal Rise.
Finchley, innit?
Is
D.
it Finchley?
I think it's Finchley.
Big fat D.
I think East Finchley Station's NW2. I'm not sure, but I ain't guaranteeing it, so we can
Nah,
check it.
I wouldn't know.
We'll be fact checked. Don't worry. We get fact
I
checked.
get them in the cab and I just say, just chuck us a street or a postcode, and
Streets.
then they throw their phone through the petition. So
Yeah.
Do you call them Sarah or Mum?
I do. I call everyone
Do
Sir
you?
and Mum.
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Amazing, isn't it?
I've kept that. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think as soon as you come out of the knowledge, it's almost like a mark of respect with your customers.
yeah.
Talking about postcodes.
No, well, we can go on to jobs as well. The jobs that the lines that knowledge students do, which is what you've brought up, Jamie, and to compare to what we do. One of the little myths that is really hard to get through to knowledge students is that it's not a myth. You can use the cab driver routes because, in general, there's only one rule on the knowledge: the distance. It's the only thing that's a truth. How long is your route? If it's shorter than somebody else's, it wouldn't matter if it was looked ugly. It's the distance of it.
So do you mean you can use the cab driver routes in
You can use the
appearances?
cab driver's routes in appearance, but more and more so because of the LTNs. Because a lot of routes have become, even for cab
Do they
drivers,
count
a
those
little
in
bit short.
appearances now?
What do you mean? The
The
LTN?
LTNs?
Yeah, you can't use them.
Okay.
So you would go. I mean, a lot of Hackney. Any clever route in Hackney has disappeared. You get us on the biggest road you can, and you go a long way up to turn a long way left. Queensbridge Road, Dalston Lane. It's almost top to bottom to get across. You can't do pretty
So
much.
do the
anything.
students not believe you can use them? A lot of them.
No, they just think that you can't. You know the
Worried
myth of I need to be 1 centimetre away from the line, 2 centimetres away from the line. No, the line is a guide to show that's the way a bird would fly between A and B.
They worry too much.
You do.
I remember you said it was when I was struggling at the start. Just start calling, and then it starts coming out.
Yes.
And then when you get from A to B, and it's half good, well, you can just get there in a reasonable amount of time. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think as students, I've done it at points. You just overdo it, and you worry about what's going to happen in appearance.
They do.
much.
They worry too much.
But I think you're perfectly right. Just A to B. Them cab driver lines are fine. I think it's more confidence in how you deliver it.
Dan, I think this brings us up to the fact of at what level should you be doing that. So this goes back to one of my sporting metaphors again. You could get on the green as the player that you are with 3 shots. The best player in the world could get on the green with 1. You're not the best player in the world, so don't try and overhit the ball to be on the 1. You play the 3 shots exactly like you should do. So the routes as a beginner, you play it safe. You get a solid route.
Yeah.
You know it works. You know it makes sense. And then you can look at the map, see if you can come up with something wonderful and clever and artistic. And if you're able to fluently name those roads and you're able to cope with the fear and the nerves, then by all means, call it an appearance if you want to. But there's a classic. Oh, sorry, you've just triggered a classic for me with Dave O'Connor was in an appearance. He was the examiner. And the student called the roads through Brockley. It's your manor, isn't it, Brockley?
Well,
He called Chudley, Bexhill,
yeah.
Gladiator, I'm not naming them Sigans, just going
to
through
go
the roads.
around by Lewisham Hospital and all.
Yeah, rather than just, I think, a simple Brockley Grove into Adelaide, you can come across the corner. And it was a run that I'd written many, many years ago. And the student called it, and the run would have looked lovely. He said, I'm going to D you today. I've not heard of none of those roads.
I had it with Thomas. I can't remember the exact. It was going. It was something from near Tower Bridge to Putney, and I used too much flash stuff, and he just lost it.
Yeah, Thomas don't like that.
He doesn't want that. But I think that I realise now after I had 30 appearances, and I've realised for sure that it's a myth that they're against you up there. You put a lot of worry in your own head that you don't need to, and the simple things done well just work the best. And I think a lot of students have this thing that the knowledge is against them, and it's all really, you're going to be hammered for using simple stuff, and you're not. I think you just need to go up there and calm down and have appearances, because the more you go up there, I think the more you better it.
Yeah, we kind of discussed something this morning which is very similar. The way that we behave, the human nature aspect of how we interact with people. So you've said something in your run, and I'm kind of the examiner saying, no, you can't do that. You can't turn left there. I'm going to give you a 0. And you're sitting there thinking, you can. Now, there's a few ways that you can say this. But if you're the kind of student that says, you can turn left there, so I know, I've done it yesterday. Oh, a little bit cocky, a little bit arrogant. Whereas you could turn around and say, oh, I didn't know that, sir, but I was fairly sure you could turn left there. I did do it recently, and there was a no left turn. So the way you word your...
fine with that.
They would then say, very often, all the examiners I've had it said to them, would then say, actually, one second, let me check. I don't know, you might be right. You've sown a seed. Whereas the other way, you've put up a barrier, haven't you? You've put up a defence. Oh, I don't give a damn now what you say.
And they'll see that.
Yes.
And then it's like the way you go about things. The way you drive a cab, the way you go about things is it's the same. You've got to have a process of how you speak to people.
Yeah.
And I think that is learnt in the appearances.
Are you nice to customers? Are you doing?
I'm very nice. And customer service to me is really important.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I wasn't ready to have a badge for a long time. And them not giving me it was the right thing to do. Because I learnt so much from them appearances about myself, and it moulded me into somebody that understands a lot more about how to communicate, how to get myself across. It was good for me. Really.
Well, I would have hated that. I mean, I would have just wanted to be driving my cab.
I hated it, and I wanted to kill everyone. But I realise now, and it was Mr. Gunning that said it to me afterwards. I said to him, why did it take me that long? He said, you weren't ready for it.
Yeah. And
I think there was times I went up there, and I probably could have answered all the questions right. Weren't ready for it.
Did you ever think of giving up?
Yeah. Yeah.
You
I'll
too?
I'll tell you the story. I was 5-0 down.
On what level?
56s. I know I'd been redlined. Went up there, 1-0 down again. I did have tough examiners for my appearances, but sometimes you get tough examiners, but I wasn't good enough to answer their questions. So I'm not going to sit here and go, it's because of them. I wasn't good enough to answer them. And then I had, God rest his soul, Mr. Swire.
Yeah.
And he asked me 4 questions across the map, loads of points. And I remember I scored, and I cried in the appearance because of the pressure.
Yeah.
And every time I had him, it's like he egged me on a bit to carry on. But that I was going to rip my card up,
Yeah.
I just thought, I've had enough of this. And I said it to Sam. I said, I can't, and John, and I can't be bothered with it all. But a combination of things made me not do that.
Yeah.
But it was him. I remember he said to me, "You're good enough for 3 points from me." And from then on, I just cracked on with it. But I was that day. I swear to God, I was done with it.
If you'd have give up, what would you be doing now?
I'd probably be in prison. No, honestly, I'm telling you, the knowledge straightened me out. I was a bit of a lunatic when I was at Wizan. I weren't
It's
right.
a loose cannon.
I was a lunatic bodybuilder. I weren't no good for me.
Well, it was all the roids, wasn't it? It was all the roids.
Yeah. I was going to the gym every
I
morning.
wondered what you'd done with your beach balls.
Yeah.
Calm down. But it taught me.
He was on the steroids, Jamie.
No, I was.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, and doing that and going up for appearances, and you can't do your button up, and it's not.
So what, the whole regimentation, it straightened you out?
I was a regimented person anyway, but I wasn't ready as a man to be a cab driver. Wasn't grown up enough. Was a bit of a dickhead, to be honest.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair
But
play.
to be honest, no, I'm man enough to admit it. yourself, John Osborne, a lot of people really helped me. And Tony Swire.
Yeah, I get a little bit tearful even thinking about it because I
I'm
love
trying
Tony.
not to, honestly, because I love him. And as he done it, I remember his voice. I don't know about them other ones, sir.
Yeah.
But you can have 3 points from me. And I remember I got him a 28.
That was a very good impression.
He went to me on 28. We're getting somewhere, ain't we, sir? And I was like, yeah. And he would just, he was there when he didn't give me my badge. Mr. Gunning did. He was actually a lovely bloke.
Yeah.
But Swires was in the room, and I see him after, and I said it to him, and he was tearful. But what a lovely man. He'd done a lot, I feel like, and he wanted the underdog to do all
I
right.
think when he came, he kind of proved he bedded in, and when every examiner comes, they have an ego comes with them. And Tony came with the same ego.
I heard, yeah.
But he kind of got it off his chest that I've got nothing to prove about who I am. I am the examiner here to test you. He knew his stuff. He really did. Oh, yeah. We had some funny conversations in private about stuff that we don't know. And, it looks like we must know everything because of our position, but we don't. And me and him would laugh about the stuff. I didn't know it. They asked me, I didn't know it. It's fine. And it's easy for any examiner to go out today, look at half a dozen places up in Peckham, down in Peckham and over in Wimbledon, and new buildings, new blocks of flats, and go in and ask them and act like everyone should know these. And even say they do it, don't they? A classic. I'm really disappointed and surprised you didn't know that point.
I had that from Gerald. She asked me blocks of flats in Hackney. No one knows them.
Oh, no.
That's demoralising when they say that.
But it's a good thing, I think, in a way, because I feel like, look, for me, it enabled me to go on and be a professional in another field in boxing. I couldn't work at the highest level in boxing now if I didn't go through what I did in the knowledge. So I think if you do go out there and you have a bad day, take it. And it's going to be good for you in the long run because you're going to go in the cab and you're going to have a bad day sometimes. Someone's going to call you all the names under the sun, or they're going to get sick, or you got to deal with that. If they give me my badge quickly, I wouldn't have dealt with that. I would have lost it.
Well, you do know that's one of their tactics. You get a lot of people on the knowledge who are very argumentative.
Yes.
And the idea is that they're complaining about not being treated fairly. And I noticed from Mr. Price, the idea is, well, pass them out because they won't last 5 minutes. They will get complaint after complaint against them.
That would have been me. But because I was good at the knowledge, I'll be honest, I think I was good at doing it. I did the work.
Well, you done it for 9 years, Dan. You should be good
at it. You
after
know what I mean?
years.
But I did the work, but I wasn't as a bloke. No, I couldn't give him a badge.
So we've got a similar sort of story because on and off, I was about 8-9 years as well. On and off, that's fair.
I won 8-9 years.
No.
Did it in 4.
Yeah.
Well, once you knuckled down?
4 years.
Yeah. See, on my second attempt, it was 5. I sort of went for it.
Yeah.
But I pissed around on it for 2-3 years.
What did you do before?
So I was in the fitness industry.
Yep.
Obviously not into bodybuilding. I'd done that for about 7 years, and then I went into Royal Mail, postman, and that's when I started looking into the knowledge. Postman was quite a flexible job in terms it was an early start, early finish.
Yeah.
So I could get straight in the car down into London. Found the congestion charge difficult because that pinches you when you're paying 12. Not now, but back then 12, 15 quid just to get in town and do it.
I think now it's 16, isn't it?
I don't know.
Plus, it depends on your motor, though.
Yeah, it does. If you're not U-lease thingy. I did pay it recently, and I paid 16 plus the fact. I had to write up with my wife because we was on Turkish time in my head, and we drove up to London an hour too early. And so we drove in, and not only that, we reached Lincoln's Inn Fields. I'm going to park so we can go around and watch the Christmas lights. So I thought we'd park at Lincoln's Inn Fields because I know we're safe here, and we can walk up Oxford Street and see where we want. I'm still an hour early. Now I've got to put 6-7 quid in the bloody meter and in Lincoln's Inn Fields just to park.
The Whiz-An helicopter.
I've got a funny story about Bishop's Avenue. You just jogged me a memory. On my very first 56, I didn't know him at the time, but Mr. Patel called me in, and he's roughed me up a few times, Mr. Patel. But it was funny because at the end of the knowledge, I realised it was all a character test. Yeah. But he was great in the end. Very first question: where's Bishop's Avenue? So I said, that's Spaniards Road, sir. Couldn't think of the time. Is it Alma Road at the top?
Yeah.
Anyway, and he said, no. So I said, no, sorry, sir, Bishop's Avenue. Anyway, he said, that was that. He said, are you sure? I said, yeah. Anyway.
He likes this question.
Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, are you thinking of Fulham Palace Road or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because I didn't say I didn't get it. And he said, are you sure you've seen Fulham Palace? I said, Fulham Palace, Bishop's Avenue. Not the Bishop's Avenue, Mr. Parker. I suggest you go and rectify that. And I remember coming out and giving it to the point collectors, and they said, that's a bit harsh.
Yeah.
And then I realised, is this what the knowledge is? Wow, what an introduction to get onto appearances.
Well, this is what the knowledge actually for me shouldn't be too much about. I mean, it's a little bit. It's a little bit having your driving test on a motorbike, for example. Having your driving test, and it's like for your driving test of your motorbike today, I want you to pull a wheelie. Okay, but I don't really think that's relevant to what we're trying to do.
I don't know because
Well, the tomfoolery or the trickery to the Bishop's Avenue and the Bishop's Avenue. I mean, he could have asked both Bishop's Avenue to the Bishop's Avenue, or
was that your first one as well?
That's my very first question.
I think on 56s, first 56, you've got a good chance of being caught with that. That's true. Once you've got a small amount of experience, the Bishop's Avenue and Bishop's Avenue are known to us, so you shouldn't fall for it.
I mean, after I dropped it, I got Fulham Football Club, so
Yeah.
I realised, right, I'm in the right area. I'm in the ballpark, and then it was a relatively straightforward run into central London. But yeah, I just remember thinking like he got me on semantics, and hands down, he's got bang to rights. I was wrong. I didn't.
Did he
say
score
that.
you?
No, I didn't score. No. And then it similar to what Dan said. It was like a rolling 4 or 5 Ds on 56s. So I had to get.
Oh, did you get the 4-5? Yeah.
Yeah.
My first one was brilliant. I went up to the Palestra in a sky blue suit, right?
I've seen that suit.
That's right.
I have seen that suit in a picture.
At a wedding. Whose wedding was it I went to? John's.
Yeah. Oh, did you come to it in the wedding?
No, it wasn't. It was somewhere else.
I've seen the sky blue suit. I have a clear, vivid.
Business.
Yes.
Looks like
Yeah.
someone out of Goodfellas. I went in there and I got Mr. Gunning.
Yeah.
And I remember he likes his suit.
He does like a three-piece.
Yeah.
Three-piece suit.
He's
isn't
got a nice whistle and Gucci's on it every time. You could hear the Gucci's clicking down the hallway. Do you remember that? You think, here he comes. But I remember sitting down and he looked at the suit, asked me a question, asked me a point. 10, 20, 30, 40. I dropped every point. Nothing. And I remember he went to me, stand up. And I said, yes, sir. And there's a map behind me. He said, you don't know nothing about that. Do you go to a school? I said, yeah. He said, go back there. And I remember I went out and the sweat.
Yeah.
The suit.
Sky blue suit.
It was.
Maybe.
I went out. I punched the car. Everything. I just said that. Went back though.
Did you wear your lucky suit?
Got home and
But
kicked
that,
the dog.
I was just thinking, is this what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that happened. I know there's a lot of, like you say, it was good for me. I'm a success story of somebody who did go through ups and downs, mostly my own fault, and I think it helped me out. It really did.
Is that your first appearance with Mr. Gunning? Was that?
Yeah, and I had him a good few times. Never scored with him, apart from on my suburbs. And I remember I sat down and he looked at me. He went, "You're right on my suburbs." I went, "No, not really, because you're here." But I'd done the suburbs anyway, and it was great.
I had him twice, never scored with him.
Yeah.
He gave me a tricky run coming out of, he's finishing at Holston Station and he wanted me to set on the left and don't use Hither Green Road, Mr. Parker. I'm glad you said that, sir, because I didn't know Hither Green Road in the first place. Sorry, not Hither Green, Barrett's Green Road, off of that
I think,
part of Acton Lane. He said, no,
Okay.
Barrett's Green Road,
I did
to spin
think,
it and
because
set
you
it.
do know the Hither Green is Lewisham.
Yeah,
I was just thinking that.
And
sorry,
my
Barrett's
mind went to
Green.
Lewisham. So that's how good we are.
There you go.
Hither- I
Yeah.
can see
My
the
brain went to
crematorium.
Lewisham. And I also was thinking to myself, I don't think it's road either. I think it's Hither Green Lane.
Hither Green Lane it is, drops down to
It's
Lewisham.
another
Sorry,
D.
my bad.
Yeah.
Barrett's Green Road. he
0.
said. And that was like a horseshoe that you use. A lot of people just caught onto it in the schools. That's how you set Holston on the left, just in
Right.
case. And he said, no, Barrett's Green Road. And I was like, oh, I don't know that anyway.
So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, exactly. So that,
What are
and
you
at the
gonna
end, it was just keep going, Mr. Parker. That was like on 28.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, I see him in the cab about 6 months ago. I was getting my car washed. Is it Sherbet down at Lambeth Way off of Hercules Road?
Yeah, next to Fitzroy Lodge.
That's a good man. Anyway, and I just come out and he was behind me getting his cab washed, and we had a
speak
chat.
to him?
I said, "Yeah, I did." I said,
You shitting
"How are you,
yourself?
sir?" No,
Yeah.
just
You liar.
and he recognised me. And he said, "How?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "How you finding it?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Your questions," I said, "as hard as they were, they do come in handy on the knowledge because I've learnt things that you just sort of at the time I felt were unnecessary." Anyway, that was it. We had a chat and.
Did you still see him as an examiner when you?
No, I didn't.
It's different, isn't it?
It is weird
I
because
saw-
we was
yeah.
boasting jeans and whatnot.
Yeah.
Anyway, as you got, I said, "Don't forget your false right out of here, sir." And he went,
I saw McDowell on my first day in the cab. I saw McDowell in the petrol station
Yeah.
on Bayswater Road, and he looked at me, and I looked at him. I said, "Morning, sir." He went, "You don't call me sir now." I said, "Oh, it's my first day." He said, "What question did you? Sorry, where did you go?" And it was like literally a few streets. He went, "Good, weren't Heathrow, so you done all right." And you just see them as normal people then.
Yeah. Have
It
you
is-
bumped into
yeah.
any other examiners other than McDowell? Because no.
You can see Gunning a lot. He works, but I got to know him a little bit after the knowledge. Lovely bloke, and you just realise and look back at the times where you'd sit there with a fear of God when they're walking down the corridor, which you actually, I don't think, should have, but will naturally.
Yeah.
But I do definitely realise that a lot of it that you worry about, it's in your head.
Yes, it is, a lot of it is.
It's a bit like boxing. Fighters overthink the fights. I think the fights are probably 10% physical, 90% mental.
All right.
And you see fighters worrying about things and then they can't perform under pressure, a bit like the knowledge. And I think if you can just find a way to take that pressure off and listen to the advice you're given, you do a lot better. Or just have 30 appearances like me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Getting there is the ideal. I mean, my mantra to people, and I've said it a few times in the videos, is you have just two goals. One is to succeed, finish the knowledge. Don't start this and not finish. That's your first goal. You did that.
Yeah.
The second goal is finish as fast as possible, because that's really what you want.
Yeah.
So there seems to be some psychology with some people that they want to be the greatest knowledge student ever lived, which is fine, but that doesn't correlate with doing the knowledge quickly. That means you are looking for everything to know everything, and you're going to be doing it a few years.
And there was a lot of people that were great at the school and not at appearances.
Yes.
I saw that a lot.
Sadly, you had partners that one partner was excellent compared to the other, but the other one was making better progress because on average they were performing better when it came to it. And the other one was probably building themselves up so much that they didn't get in there and get the questions exactly right. You talk about seeing the examiners out. We never saw the examiners out because when I did the knowledge, the examiner couldn't be a cab driver.
Why is that?
You couldn't be an examiner and a cab driver. You couldn't hold both at the same time. It was a new... I think about 2000 it might have come in. I'm not exactly sure on the year, but you couldn't be both. So you was an examiner, and if you wanted to be a cab driver, you had to leave.
Harvey. Sorry, I was listening to you. I saw Harvey on Tottenham Court Road.
Recently?
No, it was a few years back. I think it was like near the start when I got out.
Yeah.
And he can be quite comical. You know, like he was looking at me out the cab window and I was looking at him. I said, hello, sir. He went, hello. And just zoomed off. Yeah, Harvey, I've seen Ayres.
So for most people, I don't know, Harvey is an actor.
Yeah, I did.
And I mean, if you don't know, because certainly for YouTube, if you Google him, he's on there with Jackie Chan. He has a fight with Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
Is that in Shanghai?
Shanghai Nights. I think it's Shanghai Nights. Yes, it's over Greenwich. I think it's being filmed in the Greenwich.
And there's another film he's in that's black and white. He's in loads of it. I can't
remember but the fight with Jackie Chan, what a legend to say that. I beat up Jackie Chan.
Yeah. Is he still an examiner?
No comment.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we're going to have him on the show, I think, when we know more. But no, he's not.
No. I enjoyed my appearances with Harvey.
Yeah.
He was good.
Did you get any multi-drop questions with him? I had a few.
No, not that I can think of, no.
He got me, my last question on the knowledge was a multi-drop with him, and he got me an A. So I finished the knowledge with an A, which I was
nice,
beside myself with. And it was the Dorchester onto the Connaught. And I remember he didn't even look at his map. And I remember, because I don't know about you, what did you do when you called? Did you sort of look down or did you close your eyes? I was sort of one of those that used to sit and close my eyes.
Out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't know.
Medical assistant. And I looked up at him and he's going like that. He's going, yeah. So he's sort of, he knows what he wants to do, what he wants me to do. And he said, at the end, he said, yeah, you would do that, wouldn't you? That's the best way around it. And it was just, I just thought, that's admirable.
He had some of the best qualities as an examiner that people should have. And it was one of my points. I'm asking you something, and I know what I think the best route is because I've planned it. So I'm cheating. I'm the examiner. I'm asking you something that I've had the chance to look at the map and come up with my best idea. And generally, a lot of this came out of the fact that the examiner had worked last night, done the job, not thought that they'd done it very well, looked at the map, thought, oh, interesting, could have done this, come up with a better version. But then this is where the examiner goes right and wrong. I'll hear the answer what I think is my 10, because I've looked at it as an intricate 10 on the table. And then they seem to go from 10 to 0. You don't do my 10 as a 0. But it can't be that drastic. It cannot be. So you've come up with something that's got to be reasonable. And it's that scope to understand that you're somewhere between 6 and 10 with most of our routes.
There's something, like when them arguments come up, I've always found it strange that appearances are not recorded.
We spoke about this yesterday, funny enough.
Because how can there be an adjudication after the event that's actually fair? Because it's your word against them. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure there's many decisions that have been overturned that were incorrect. But it's a thing where I feel like that should happen. And
I think it's going to happen.
VAR.
Well, yeah, the VAR. I'm a fan of VAR. I mean, England have been far more successful since VAR than previous to VAR.
They're no good since '96, though, have they? Let's be honest.
Since '96.
Yeah.
What, the European Cup in England?
They done really well in that. I had Teddy Sheringham in my cab, by the way.
Okay, well, he's great. Millwall supporter.
Yeah, he asked me if I supported Chelsea. Yeah, I didn't really like him.
Ah.
Yeah, he wanted me to know he was Teddy Sheringham straight away. Yeah. He let me down a bit.
No, I wouldn't have even acknowledged him, even though I'm a Millwall supporter. I'd have just let him get in and be peaceful.
Yeah.
Ah, dear.
No, I didn't. He would like when celebrities get in my cab. You're a passenger. I
ignore him.
Yeah,
I don't
do.
ignore them rudely. I give you the space. We spoke about this yesterday. I'm giving them space to accept that you're a person and you're free to get in. I'm not going to bother you.
I think it's unprofessional to hassle them and ask for selfies.
Yeah. Unless they ask you for the selfie because you're famous.
Basically.
Yeah. And they should. They should. Can I have a picture of you?
I get it a lot. Are you? No. No, but I do the same thing. I'll give him space. But he wanted me to know he was in the cab.
Yeah.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like football, mate?
No, he didn't.
I swear to God. Do you like? Yeah. Who'd you support? Chelsea.
He went quiet after that.
Anyway, quiet.
Yeah. Why are you going this way? So there's a lot of traffic. He was all right. His house is called the New Camp.
Is it?
Yeah.
What, spelled as N-O-U?
Yeah, when you go there, he's got a big thing in New Camp.
Whereabouts is he living? Is he?
Oh, you know
Somewhere
why?
in Essex.
Because he won the European Championships in the new camp.
Well, there you go then.
With Ole Gunnar Solskjaer scored in the last minute 2-1. They was losing 1-0.
You look a bit like Ollie, but better. You can see it, can't you? And you've got a little bit
like
of
a
Swedish
love
or Dutch in you, haven't you?
Well, my
Or you can
first
speak
wife was Danish, so
Oh,
There you go.
right.
I tell you who I did have in my cab though. It was brilliant, Joanna Lumley.
really.
Yeah. And I saw her on Charing Cross Road, and I spun around, picked her up,
She wasn't even waving a cab. He just spun around.
and she got in. She knew that I knew, I guess, and we had a conversation, but I never at all said, "I know you're Joanna Lumley," but she was lovely. She was so
Bit old
nice.
for you, though, Dan, isn't she?
Was that like a hostage situation, Dan? Or was...
Yeah.
Don't know what you're talking about. No, but she was great. But you know, like when I picked her up, I just started sweating because I thought, don't mess this up, and I hope she ain't horrible. And then I've got to remember this for my whole duration of being a cab driver. But
She's
she
like
was
a
great.
British institute. She's like an icon.
Yeah.
Unlike Teddy Sheringham.
Oh, come on, leave Teddy alone. He's just a footballer.
Yeah.
It seems to be that people talk badly, mostly, I have heard. I've met him, but not spoken to him. I'm not picking up. But Chris Eubank gets a bad rub. A lot of cabbies have picked him up.
I met him in the Peacock. He was nice.
Well, I met him. He had his big truck outside Marylebone Station parked up, and I'm on the rank. So I met him there.
You move out of the way.
Yeah, it's like with his big truck.
Yeah, he was all right. He stopped to watch. I was sparring with my dad in the Peacock years ago.
He said, "You got a lot to learn, son."
You're quite overweight. He was all right. He was okay. He was all right. His son ain't as polite. Yeah.
No, you
but,
sure?
Yeah, Chris Eubanks. I remember Swire did say to me, because I was quite muscular, "You work out, sir?" And I said, "He said, do you like any other sports?" I said, "Yeah, I liked when I was younger boxing and jiu-jitsu, a bit of karate." And I didn't realise.
He's a karate champ.
Yeah, he said, "Where did you do it?" I said, "The Marble Factory, sir." He said, "Camberwell Road?" "Yeah." "George Andrews?" And I was like, "Yeah."
He knew everything.
And I was looking at him, he went, "Do you know this? Do you know that?" And then he literally knew everything.
Yeah.
He just, I think I probably dropped 30 points where I grew up. He still scored me.
Unbelievable.
But yeah, brilliant.
He had a really good way of putting you at ease, didn't he? I think that was one of his sort of... And I think, as Dan says, he would tailor an appearance around your lifestyle, or whether you're sporty or whatnot. And he got talking to me about football, because I played a bit of football. And I remember he said, do you know Addy Dazzler? And I said, like, Adidas? And he said, yes,
Dazzler, sir.
Yes, sir. And do you wear football boots? I said, I'm not wearing football boots today, sir, but I do on a Sunday, you know. And he said, what do you wear, Adidas? I said, no, I'm sort of like a Nike man. And anyway, that was that. But he tailored that whole appearance all around football.
All right, ready?
Go on.
He asked me these 2 points, and I still can't remember what they are. Manchester United office in London.
Yeah, Stratton Street.
Oh, wanker. Yeah. Sheffield United office in London.
Oh, no.
That's why I shouldn't get cocky, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he dropped, remember the line he dropped when he had
They
a
haven't
point?
been asked since, those ones. They
When
were. They remember them coming out.
I remember when he used to hammer people on points. I just let the beast out of the cage a little bit today, so he used to drop that one. I love him.
Fantastic.
Yeah. He's got Swire Junction now, is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
brilliant.
I'm really happy about that.
Well, not people weren't. We done
Who not? Who wasn't?
I always judge the dislikes on the videos. It's quite funny.
How can they not like that, though?
There's one person who pretty much dislikes every video. So you get this one dislike, you get
Cycling my
100 dislikes, and then the one dislike coming along. And on that one, on Swire Junction, I think there was like 4 or 5 dislikes. So you had to take the time to think, I don't like this so much that I'm actually going to give some feedback that I don't like it. It's us. We can name any junction we like. It's not for the public. We are conveying something. And to be honest with you, some junctions should be named by us to make the navigation of it easier, because you go into it and it's, for example, a lot of people still think Harrow Road Circus. They try and split it all up and say, oh, roundabout 1, roundabout 2, roundabout 3. Now, just the whole thing is Harrow Road Circus, then it kills it. It's great. You go into that area, one roundabout, and you come out. It's easy to call. So naming some of these places, and the King William Street bit is kind of like that, because where does one road end and touch? You start to get into the detail. Just say into the junction and out of the junction. It becomes easier for us. But yeah, Swire Junction. We chose that one because that's his manner. He was a city boy.
Yeah.
And he knew everything in the city. And he used to ask a hell of a lot just in that Cannon Street to the left area of the smaller roads. It's
great because when you go, I don't know about you, when I go through there now, it's like every time it's like a little nod to Mr. Swire. Because you remember it, and it's, you start. You probably wouldn't have been calling that, would you? But that was at the later end of my knowledge, was calling Swire Junction. Yeah, the family were chuffed as well. We're not that it's going to ever bring him back or replace him in any way, but it's a nice tribute. If we've named it and put it in the books, and the TFL have agreed to it, it will be there forever, and forever people are going to wonder why is it called that. And now you know a little bit of history. There was a lot of corners. We didn't get asked these times. Well, Scotch Corner doesn't come out anymore. Find Laters Corner.
No, where's it?
London Bridge. The actual train station.
Find Laters? Yeah. Why was it called that?
I think it's still there. You'll see it in big letters across the top. It's going to be a department store or a shop or a butcher's or something famous. And they've had it. So this is chiselled into the concrete around the bridge. Tivoli Corner was common. Princes Street, there was loads of stuff that we used to get asked that you can't get asked now, and I quite liked they were easy to remember because they were kind of semi-interesting, semi-ridiculous.
And livery hall?
I like livery halls.
They were a bit of a thingy for me.
Even there you have to sort of...
Yeah, I wasn't great at those. No.
Embassies?
Not so bad. But the livery halls used to get me.
Yeah.
I found with the whole pointing, it was a case of... I sort of quite like my history, so I'd always try and, if I was pointing in a certain area, whether I used to get out and do it on foot in the city, just to sort of in the summer, just to make grab a cup, grab a beer and walk around. And
you like the history, yeah?
Yeah. No, he liked the beer basically.
You know what I mean?
But I would make the points, try and pick up a few points that I'd seen in history books and just try and make it a little bit interesting, because it is generally, if you're not enjoying it, it's laborious.
2 cherubs on a phone.
Yeah, that's Temple Place.
Give you that one.
Yeah, there's another thing. There's the bulldog. There's a bulldog on a
Zippo. Is it the Nazi dog?
Gyro.
Well, how you want to say it is because it's CIRO. So gyro and Cyro, I don't know what the correct pronunciation for that is. And you actually see it. 2 miles into Jeeves. There's a great one. These are all from a book, and it was this book is called 101 Oddities, and it is a collector's item.
Is that right?
Yeah. All from a book, and I had the book. Mr. Wilkin got the book.
Is he still an examiner?
Yes, but he can't ask any of these anymore.
Why?
Because, well, the mini St Paul's Cathedral.
Yeah, that's on Vauxhall Bridge.
Yeah.
Hangs over the side.
Yeah, well, for a start, you're never going to pass it. You have to actually... So some of these things involved being like in Mission Impossible harnesses and stuff to go and visit. So they were lovely and interesting, and I'm glad I know them.
Yeah.
And it would be nice that we knew this kind of rubbish, so I don't see that they were a harm. But what happens, students were not getting through because they probably weren't good enough, and they used it as an excuse to say, I'm not getting through because they're asking these points, they're not relevant.
And that's just not on, is it? If you're not good enough, just go out and do the work properly and crack on.
Well, properly is a big word,
Yeah. Or do the job you're meant to do. Go up there, have your appearances, and let them do their work. I think that the knowledge definitely unlocks something in people to realise they can achieve other things.
This is what we all should be doing this for. You will have a job that will pay your bills and feed your family.
That's right.
And the freedom to dedicate some time to risk a hobby or a job or something else. So you may have always wanted to start a coffee shop or a coffee stall. But if you did that on the basis that it must work because our life depends on it, no, you could be driving your cab, funding it, doing it, learning it, tweaking it.
That's what I do with a boxing.
Mm.
If I wasn't a cab driver, I couldn't be a professional boxing coach.
You wouldn't earn a living, would you?
No.
You wouldn't earn a living beforehand unless you become one of the big boxing coaches that there is.
Almost there.
So family of cab drivers?
Not one.
Not
Not
one.
a
So how did you
single.
break the mould then, Dean?
My best friend, his dad was a cab driver. He was a dustman, and he became a cab driver. And he basically said to my best friend, you know, you should do it as well. And this is the thing about all of us on the knowledge. It's a knock-on effect. It's the dominoes. And he persuaded him. And my friend said to me, we was working Covent Garden at the time. He said, you can do this as well.
What was you doing there in the Covent Garden?
I'm not telling you.
Yeah.
Market trader.
Mm.
So it's all hush.
some girls.
Yeah. He says to me, you can do this. Look, how do you get from here? This is true. How do you get from here to Buckingham Palace? I said, I have no idea. Covent Garden to Buckingham Palace. I said, I've got no idea. I live in the East End. I come out of Covent Garden. I go that way. I know that Buckingham Palace is roughly that way. He said, but yeah, you surely you know. Literally, I had 3 roads to name, didn't I? I got named the Strand, King Charles I Island, which we wouldn't name. It wasn't there like that when I did the knowledge. That layout is all different. Admiralty Arch and the Mall it would have been done. And I couldn't do that. So anything going west, I wasn't very good at. Although I did live Fulham for some years. Querin Street with a girlfriend, actress.
He's Banksy. Did you know that? I wouldn't be surprised. I
It's
actually,
supposed to be a secret.
I don't know
Dad.
the way my fucking mind works, but I actually wouldn't be surprised if you are
It's a
Banksy.
secret.
I found since driving the cab, you do get some bad habits.
Why do you need to diet? You look fine.
No, we all need to. We don't need to diet.
You're not a vegan, are you?
No, I like my food, but if you like food and you like eating, then you better make sure that what goes in, the calories are coming out. So that's pretty much the bad thing about cab drivers, is that they don't realise there's no calories going out. You are sitting down and not doing it, and you must. So my tip at my age is just try to put in as many steps as possible a day, because you 10,000 steps is easy. 20,000 steps is you're going to lose weight. 10,000 steps
down
you
and
can
do some
eat well and
boxing.
maintain it. But
Are these for us? Is that what it is?
well, it's
Oh, I
kind
didn't
of,
know
but
that.
it's been refilled. That's tap water now. The comedian drank it yesterday.
You like him, didn't you?
I
Can't
thought-
stop talking about him. I'll
I-
leave if you want.
No, I thought it was wonderful, and it's coincidence
mate Aaron.
you're on. Aaron, really, really, really good guy.
Why is it a coincidence?
You look very much like him.
I don't really follow him, to be honest. I've seen a couple of videos
Yeah.
here and there, but
I don't.
I've seen the beard though. Yeah,
Yeah, he's. The
I've got a
thing
better
is,
beard.
I don't know. It has been a really nice chat, and I hope
Nice
that
to
whoever's
see you as
watching
well.
it is going to find what you've said interesting and what Jamie's said interesting. And both of you are more than welcome to come back and have another subject in the future with our little set. I don't know.
I just wanted to come back and tell you thanks. You helped me grow up.
Oh, Dan,
Yeah.
you're a man now.
No, I think so.
Oh, I don't know.
But no, I